All right, good afternoon, traders. Today is January 20th, 2026. My name is John Carignan. I'm Coach Carignan. I'm the lead instructor here at the BYOB Trading Room. Thank you for hanging out with me today here in the room. How I made 4K or 5K with a 120K account utilizing 10% of the account value, which is only $12,000. 12,000, right? Not 1,200, 12,000. All right, so I used 10%, okay, of this. Okay, this is 120K, so 10% would be 12,000, not 1,200. All right, let's take a look at the market today, see what we got. Let's take a push over here. Okay, and what do we got into the close? We have, well, that's 10-minute downtrend into the close right there. 10-minute downtrend on the 2-hour chart. You can see the candlesticks and the 3 EMA well underneath the 8 EMA. 2-hour downtrend coming into the close. Daily time frame. All right, we got a low right here that breaks through the 17 EMA, and we made a lower low. So we're in a downtrend on the daily chart too. On the weekly chart, let's take a look at the weekly chart. We did not make a lower low yet. All right, so weekly chart still. I'm going to move this out of the way. Weekly chart still in an uptrend. Nothing's broken yet. Okay, on the weekly chart. Monthly chart, obviously, see all the green dots. Still in an uptrend on the monthly chart. All right, so there's SPY. What do we do today to trade today? Well, we had 10-minute, we had a professional gap, all right, which was an oversized gap right into support. Okay, so we traded this to the long side. We had a brief 10-minute uptrend coming into the open. Okay, then it faded off, and then it rallied back and resumed itself right through here. So we had a professional gap. So we traded it to the upside. Then we noticed right here, or I noticed, or we noticed, okay, that after 6 10-minute candles, we failed to make that. So on the 7th candle, we didn't make that higher high. We needed to make a higher high. All right, we didn't make it. At that point, okay, we got puts ready, and we bought puts for the downside move. All right, because if they can't make a higher high, either they're going to linger up here, which didn't seem like the case. All right, with a big gap down, they should have kept going all the way back up to this VWAP, which would be the all-time high anchored VWAP. And they did not do that, all right? They kind of lingered here too long, like they had some struggles. So we bought puts to the downside, and you can see here's a nice, beautiful 10-minute downtrend all the way into the close. So we traded this 10-minute downtrend into the close. So we traded products, as you can see right here. Got the 3 days till expiration, 675 puts. All right, 3 days till expiration. You can see I already got some profit in those. Leftover profit, cleared 1,500 on those. AMD, we sold our AMD at the top of the day, at the high of the day on the SPY. So we sold AMD. We had some of those calls from Friday. And we had some 665 puts, which I never got filled on. Okay, I was bidding for them around 50 cents, 40 cents, 30 cents. Never got filled, so that's the case sometimes. Then we got some 671 puts, made $53 on the 671 puts. Have 9 left, or excuse me, yeah, got 9 left. And they're underwater, which is fine. I see further downside coming in the near future. On the calls, again, we rallied the calls into the close, into that peak up there. I can show you that. Okay, so we bought calls on, let's say 3 minutes. Let's take the 3-minute chart. So we were picking off the lows of the option candles here for the calls to come up, and they never rallied, so we got rid of them. The rest of these are just calls, but mostly a lot of the profits was made on the puts. These numbers here, we sold calls against the ones we had. All right, so in order to profit, we converted the directional calls into bear call spread, and we captured some profits or to cancel out the losses that we had in some of the other calls. So that's what I did right there. Okay, so I got some UBXY, bought a couple of those right here when I saw that the puts weren't going to the calls weren't going to go any higher. So managed to buy some UBXY right here and sold it up here around 440. Bought it for 225. Okay, so almost 100%, in 4 hours right there. You're buying it for 225 and you're selling it for 440 right there. So darn near 100%. We'll call it 90%. Maybe it's 95. All right, and again some more puts. Again, see the right here, candle failed to break up, so we bought puts, and of course took some profit, reloaded, took some profit, reloaded, took some profit, and reloaded right there. So looking for a further downside tomorrow on the puts. That's the SPY. Okay. Let's take a peek let's close this out because we don't need that anymore. All right, you can see I made close to 5K on that. So let's move this out of the way. Move this, take that out of the way. All right, so SPY is weak. All right, no question about it. All right, so let's take a look at the hourly uptrend line. Okay, so we have a support line, call it a diagonal support line or an uptrend line. And you can see we broke through this line before, and we broke through it again. Now, last time we broke through it, we came down here to this support line right here. Okay, so it's possible they go after this support line one more time. You can see the April low anchored VWAP, all right, and the late April low anchored VWAP are kind of coming right into that support line right there. So that's my downside target, all right, if they continue to close candles underneath this support line. Now the bulls may come in and rally price and rescue price. We may get a tweet. Who knows? SCOTUS may give us a tariff report. Who knows what's going to happen, okay? But I'm bearish at this time. If you notice into the close, not much of a rally coming into the close. You notice no pushback to VWAP, so no clear sign that the bulls are ready to step in yet. All right, so I'm still bearish. So I expect at least 2-3 more hours of this tomorrow. Downside move. Obviously, no sign that the bulls are ready to rescue price. They stopped here. Why they stopped here, I don't know. And then they turn around and let price make a lower low without snapping it back up. Clearly says they're not ready. They don't see value yet right here. So maybe the value is lower. How much lower we go? Well, we got down here. We got 671. After we clear out 675.50 right here, 671 is going to be my next target down there. Right, and as closer we get, the closer we get to this support line right here. So maybe they're coming all the way to 645, 648 down here. I don't know how fast they get there, but we'll find out. All right, so there's 10-minute on the SPY. Like again, I said 2 hour is in a downtrend, and the daily has made a lower low. There's one poking below the 17. We made a lower low, so daily's in a downtrend. All right, let's take a look at, let's move this out of the way. QQQ. All right, QQQ got a low right here below the 17, made a lower low. So QQQ on a daily downtrend. On the 2 hour, you got candlesticks riding under the 3, and the candlesticks riding underneath the 8. All right, you got daylight between the 3 and the 8, got a 2 hour downtrend coming into the close. It's like we had Yesterday at the closing time, Friday, the closing time, we had a 2-hour downtrend coming into the close on Friday. All right, on the daily chart, already went over that. We made a lower low, so we're in a downtrend technically. We're still bullish up here as long as we maintain the upper third. Okay, on the weekly chart, we're still bullish and in an uptrend. On the monthly chart, nothing's broken on the weekly or monthly. Still bullish and in an uptrend. On the daily, we're still bullish. All right, when this is over, we'll be more bullish, but right now, we got a downtrend with no sign of bulls stepping in. This is bullish still up here in the quadrant 4. Again, this is our April low. All right, this is still bullish up here, just not moving up. So we're getting some pullback right now. So currently, downtrend on the daily chart. So that's QQQ. Again, you're consolidating up here in quadrant 4. That's still bullish, but in a downtrend. Okay, bullish, but in a downtrend. See how we closed underneath the all-time high, anchored VWAP. That's the pink line right there. Okay, so same thing for SPY. Okay, there's the pink line. That's the all-time high. And we closed well underneath the all-time high anchored VWAP right there. Okay, again, below that pivot, below the 17. All right, let's take a look at IWM. Okay, so IWM stopped making new all-time highs today. Lower high, lower low, closing inside a bullish trap over the rising 17. That's the green dots. Okay, still at the top of quadrant 4. That's still bullish. Here's our April low. That's still bullish and in an uptrend for IWMs. Take a look at Diamond Dow. All right, Diamond Dow spent about, you can see, almost 2 weeks, week and a half up here, consolidating at the all-time highs up here. Today's candle's a lower high, lower low, closing underneath. Well, that's a bearish cross. So the 3 crosses under the 8, closing underneath a bearish cross and underneath a rising 17 EMA. Still at the top of quadrant 4, still bullish and in an uptrend, just not moving up right now. Actually kind of pulling back. If they take out this low right here, they'll have a downtrend right there. Okay, right now they're still in an uptrend. They're just not moving up. All right, let's take a look at, let's look at Stinker. All right, here's Stinker. Stinker's back at the midpoint. Lower high, lower low, closing underneath a bearish trap, underneath the 17 EMA, underneath, this is the pink line. That right there is the all-time high anchored VWAP. Closing below, this was major support at one time when we were above it. Now it's minor support. Then we broke a second level of major support, to come down here to the midpoint. Makes me want to take this and put in an anchored VWAP to see how far off we are. Okay, so there's our low. This is the origin of our rally right there, and price underneath that all-time, that low, rally low anchored VWAP, the origin of the rally right here. So underneath that. So back to the midpoint, it's neutral and still in a downtrend on Stinker. Let's take a look at silver and gold. Silver is a new all-time high. Just dropped the mic. Doesn't get any better than that. All right, so here's our 2022 low right here. There's the all-time high made today. Okay, so it's bullish and in an uptrend. Again, higher low, higher high, closing over the bullish trap, over the 17. Bullish and in an uptrend for silver. Gold did the same thing. Higher low, higher high. Okay, new all-time high for gold and silver. Okay, so top of quadrant 4. That's still bullish and in an uptrend. Here's our 2022 low. That's the origin of the move right here. Okay, so there's gold. Let's take a look at UNG, Nat Gas. Nat Gas had a nice day today. Okay, we got a lower high. We got a higher low and a higher high, closing over a bullish cross over the falling 17. But guess what? Still at the bottom of quadrant 1. So that's bearish. Still in a downtrend. They clearly have not made any higher highs. So they're still in a downtrend. They're just not moving down today. Okay, they're still underneath this 2025 high anchored VWAP right there. That's the pink line. You can see where the quadrant lines go. That would be the high. This would be the low right here. They are not in the up and the middle. They're still in the lower third, so they're bearish and still in a downtrend, just not moving down today. Let's take a look at USO. USO got I got to look at this, outside day, higher high, lower low, closing over a bullish trap, over the rising 17, underneath the post-COVID high anchored VWAP right here. Okay, so that's our post-COVID high made in 2022, this pink line. Okay, so we closed underneath that still. We're over the midpoint. We're on the bullish side of the midpoint, which is a nice sign to see. We're on the other side of this downtrend line, which is a nice sign to see. All right, like to get up here and consolidate and then eventually move up into the upper third. Obviously not this week, or excuse me, obviously not last week. Maybe this week, maybe sometime this spring. We'll see. Okay, USO in an uptrend, but still neutral. All right, just not ready yet. Okay, notice they go up and they kind of give it up. They have a habit of doing that. Maybe eventually, later this week, maybe next week, maybe this spring, they can get up and hold the higher ground for once. We'll see. That's USO. All right, let's take a look at our technicals, T2101. Okay, so we moved down and we lost. Substitute the word participation for the word breadth. We lost participation. I like that. All right, that's a good sign. When we lose participation, all right, don't want to gain participation on the way down. We want to lose participation. We don't want everybody piling on, okay, which kind of shows us there's still some interest to go up. All right, there is at least right now. So there's our participation, I guess you call it measurement. All right, so coming down. So that's still bullish. Is bearish, but I mean, it's still bullish in the essence that not everybody piled on to push it down. It's when everybody piles on and price is going down. Okay, that's not a good sign. That's a very bearish sign. So that's T2101. So I like that. I like that right there. Okay, gives me hope that there'll be a nice bounce eventually. Obviously not today. Maybe tomorrow. Maybe later this week. We'll see. Maybe when SCOTUS reports on the tariffs. We'll see. All right, we'll see. So here's today's price action for T2122. Okay, so we came out of the buy zone. Now we're clearly under the midpoint here. Did not want to be there, but it is what it is. So we got a low we made on Friday. We made a lower low. Not liking that. That's not bullish. Made the highs. The highs are still lower than Friday's highs right here. Still lower highs. So not very good. We're hanging out in the seller's chop zone. And we're pointed down, meaning kind of indicating we're coming down to the sell zone and possibly even the sell zone or the oversold zone. We'll find out later this week. Obviously, I still feel like there's some more downside coming tomorrow. How much? I couldn't tell you, all right? I just don't know. I do have some targets out there. T2123, okay. This is a 15-minute chart. Okay, so we got a low here. And did we make a lower low? I'm going to say no, we didn't. So we're still in the uptrend. So here's a low. And we failed to make a lower low. Look, even with all the drifting going on in the late part of the day. So we failed to make a lower low. So we're still in an uptrend. Okay, but I think if we have more selling tomorrow, this will now begin a downtrend. We'll see, okay? Price still consolidating to the right, okay, near the highs. This is the all-time high, by the way. Right here is our all-time high, right there. Okay, so we're not far off the all-time highs, even if we do commence a downtrend right here. Still up over the 200 SMA. That's where I want to be if I'm a bull. I like that. So 3-bar chart's not going to look much different. Here we are. Here's our April low. right back here. And then we rally up, produce a head and shoulders, decapitate the head on the way up. Okay, so we negate the head and shoulders pattern by taking out the head. All right, make a new all-time high. That's not the all-time high, it's over here, but that was the prior all-time high right here. Have a pullback to the neckline of the head and shoulders. All right, from there, we produce a bounce. Okay, and then consolidate up over the 200 SMA, flat 200. From there, we do a measured move to the upside, producing new all-time highs. Okay, so we're still in an uptrend. Here's the quadrant lines, April low. Still at the top of quadrant 4, so that's still bullish and in an uptrend on T2123. Let's take a look at Stinker. All right, here comes Stinker. Stinker's got a low. Stinker made some lower lows, so Stinker's in a 15-minute downtrend underneath VWAP. No sign of bulls stepping in here. Stinker's underneath the 200 SMA. Stinker's underneath the pink line. That's the all-time high anchored VWAP. Underneath a major support line. Underneath once was major support. Now we're underneath it, so it's minor resistance. Now we got major resistance up here. So FNGU, Stinker, on the 15-minute chart, clearly in a downtrend. And if we look at this with new quadrant lines on it, starting from the all-time high, see the pink line? That's our all-time high anchored VWAP right there. So we're underneath that. We're underneath the falling 200. We're underneath major support, not once, but two. All right, at the bottom of quadrant 1 and in a downtrend, so that's bearish and in a downtrend. Unless they change things, all right, got to break up out of this downtrend, produce some higher highs. Haven't done that in a while. We'll find out if it's even in them, all right? So there's FNGU 15-minute downtrend and bearish on FNGU. Okay, so this morning I shared something in the room. I want to share it again. All right. And I'm going to see if I can find it, if I can dig it out here. Give me just a second. And these are some of my scans. This is one of my scans that I created this morning. So let's see if I can find it here. I have it. I have it right here. Okay, let's see if I can get it up there. Okay, so this morning in the pre-market, we had these were all in, well, I don't know that they're in uptrends, but I want to check on them and see exactly what they did. So you got MU, CLH, WMB, ZIM, Intel, UNG. So I know UNG did fantastic. Okay, right there. So you can see the PPO on my 15-minute chart was greater than 0.05. And I'll tell you, right now, I already know UNG did fantastic because we just looked at it. Okay, so that would have been a nice tradable instrument, UNG. So let's go over here to the game plan, and we're going to pull up UNG. All right, and the PPO, this is our PPO right here, was up over 0.05. Okay, so way over 0.05 right out of the gate here on UNG. You can see pull back and just melted up all day. Most of this was due to the gap up. Okay, so notice they gapped up, and that provided a lot of that PPO being up over 0.05. You can see it's closing today right now at 0.01, which is not good. All right, but you did have price. If you bought the uptrend right here at 12.14, you could have ridden that up to 12.52. It's okay, but better was to get it down here when the PPO was, see this? When the PPO was at 0.32 right here. Okay, that was your opportunity right there. And you could have caught all this move right here, 25% move on UNG. So let's take a look at one more. Let's take a look at MU, see how that did. Okay, so MU, if you caught this one, again, in the pre-market was up over 0.05. If you bought the pre-market or the breakout over the base, you got a nice rip from 362.45 clear up to, not to say that you would get the absolute high, okay? Usually I say you get probably right there where the bearish engulfing ends. I would say up to there. So 362 all the way up to, let's just call it 376. That's still a nice rip right there on a $300 product right there. So there's another instance where a measurement of the PPO early this morning, okay, if you'd have bought that, that worked out. Same with UNG. That also worked out. Intel, I know Intel worked out. Take a look at Intel. And you can see Intel in the pre-market had a PPO up over 0.05. You can see it consolidating, rip over the base if you'd have bought that, okay, based on the PPO being over 0.05. Okay, a lot of momentum coming in to the morning hour, okay. Obviously 47, clear up to 50. Let's just say you didn't get the absolute top, but you got the bearish engulfing right there, knowing to get out at that point. That got you up to 49.54. Again, PPO up over 0.05 in the pre-market hours worked out great. So it's worked out great for Intel. It's worked out great for UNG, and it worked out great for, I think I said Micron, right? I think I did MU. Yep. MU. Let's go back and visit. Yeah, MU. All right, we've got MU. So let's take a look at one more. Just showing you something that you might consider scanning. And if you want this scan, just shoot me a message in the chat. I will share it with you, all right? And it's this. You see these purple or the violet dots right there? Okay? And you just do that scan right there. These happen to be the ones that I'm interested in, okay? You might be interested in a different group. This is my group of interest that I like to watch, all right? So, but you can see clearly MU worked, Intel worked, UNG worked. Let's take a look at one more, CELH. Okay, again, up over 0.05 in the morning hours in the pre-market. Let's say you captured some of that. Let's say you just picked it up as it broke out green erases red right here. So that's 54.99. Clear up to 57.86. And again, let's just say that you didn't get the absolute top because you have to be a really good trader. Let's just say you're an average trader and you got out right about here. That would be 57. So that would be 55 to 57, $2 on a $55 stock. Nice move right there. Clearly some profit to be made by buying the PPO over 0.05 on the 15-minute chart. Okay, again, this measurement is taken on the 15-minute chart in the pre-market. Okay, let's try the next one, WMB. WMB right here. WMB did not go far at all. Actually, it ripped up, gave you a tweezer top, okay, and came down and just went sideways. It didn't melt off. As you can see, here's your open. Let's say this is the morning hours where you got the 0.5 right there. I'm going to just say you didn't get hurt that bad if you bought it, but it clearly didn't go up and stay up. Of course, none of them did because the market sold off today, but you did get that tweezer top you could have sold into right there. Okay, so that was a clear sign. Anytime you see the tweezer top, get the F out, right there, WMB. Let's try the next one. And this will be the last one because I already did Intel. I already did UNG. Last one is Zim. Okay, Zim did not work out, obviously. PPO's up, and price did not break out over the base. So kind of like no reason to buy it if you were buying the options, but if you bought the pre-market, you lost on that one. You were able to probably come back if you bought the dip and averaged in, and then got out at break even right there. But clearly, what do we got in the pre-market right now? We've got 0.05 again, so we'll see what they want to do. Clearly some interest in Zim, all right, in the aftermarket and the pre-market. Should be nice to take this back up to 24, but market's selling off, so that probably didn't help it at all right there on Zim. All right, so there's the results of what I shared early this morning. All right, traders. John, I would like to scan. You got it, buddy. All right. You got it. Let's do, which one is this? This one. And let me make sure. Yep, that's the one. All right. Share layout right there. And copy to clipboard. And here you go. Right there. Okay, CP, now you notice like on those that I shared in the morning, okay, the ones that worked out best were the ones that if you waited for the red erases green, all right, okay, then you got an entry to the upside. That was the way to take it. On the the green erases red on those, all right? So I'm not done with this. This is something I'm experimenting with, and I'm like to make one for the downside, all right? So this is for the upside. This is the only one left, Wheeler, and I would not touch that stock with a 10-foot pole. I would not touch that at all, ever, right there. That probably needs to just come out of there. Okay, wouldn't even touch that. That's the only one that's triggering right now. Nothing is triggering bullish on the PPO right now. So I'd like to make one for the bearish side. So again, I'm experimenting, all right, with my scan, trying to fine tune it. Hopefully I can put some parameters in, like maybe like a 10-minute uptrend in addition to the PPO. That would help. Clear out some of the dead weight, all right, that doesn't perform, or the non-performers. I think a 10-minute uptrend or a 5-minute uptrend in combination with the PPO over 0.05 would probably clear out some of that dead weight. Yeah, you got to go over them and over them and over them and over them. This has been a pretty reliable on the SPY. That 0.05 measurement has always been pretty reliable, and I would even say that I've looked at this 400 days, and in the days that it was up over 0.05, probably 95-99% accurate that it was a winning day on those. So not quite 400, but pretty close to 400, pretty close to 100%. So, but again, yeah, and exactly, unless you get regime change, right? But anyways, there it is. I shared it. You guys, oh, did I share? Yeah, I did share it. Okay, so there it is. If you guys like it, okay, take a peek at it. And it is called, on my chart, in case you're wondering which one it is, because I got a lot of stuff up here. It happens to be the one called JC Option Inventory, which has no options in it, and it has no inventory. Okay, so, but I was using this watch list for myself earlier. So there it is. If you're looking for it, once you download it and install that layout right there. Okay, so that's it for me. I'll see everybody tomorrow. Again, I am still expecting some more downside. We'll see what happens, all right? Maybe we get another pro gap. This morning was a pro gap because we gapped far and away and into support. So that was, we call it a pro gap because you trade it in the opposite direction of the gap. So it's a bearish gap down, but yet you trade it bullish because we gapped right into support. All right, that was the reason we call it a pro gap. Usually on a gap down, it's the one happens in the pre-market, okay, which is or say it's a gap. Let's just say it's a gap down or a gap up, okay, in the pre-market, and then you go with the direction of the gap, okay? But on a pro gap, it's different because you've already hit. If it was bullish, it already hit resistance. If it was bearish, it hit support, and therefore you'd want to trade in the bullish direction. And that's why we call it a pro gap, because you got to know that you're not trading with the direction of the gap. Okay, that's the reason. That's it for me, traders. Again, on the results of the I don't know if I posted the results of the poll. Okay, if you guys need help, all right. Looks like I didn't post the results of the poll, but that's okay. So if you need help, this is me. I want to help you if you didn't make your daily goal today. Okay, so come over to notes, and you got coaching with John somewhere. Contact Ed, 15-minute coaching right here. Okay, so there's how to reach me. Okay, right here. Just click this link. Watch. See, a new tab opens up and you sign into Teams. All right, it's free. All right, so I want to help you if you didn't make money today, if you didn't make your daily goal. Maybe you didn't trade today. That's why you didn't make your daily goal. There's nothing to be, no help needed. Okay, maybe you were waiting to not trade against the daily uptrend, and you didn't know it was a daily downtrend until the end of day, because we very well could have gone up. And I get it. All right, if you didn't make your daily goal because you did not trust the downtrend and you were waiting for a daily downtrend to exist before trading in the southern or the bearish direction. Okay, I get it. All right, but if you want help, I have free help. All right, and all this week is open for me. All right, so if you want help, okay, and if you had help before and you want more help, okay, this is me. All right, it's 15 minutes. Contact me, or probably more than 15 minutes, and it's no charge. All right, I want to help you. Okay, this is the link. Tell me who you are. I get a lot of unwanted solicitations, so let me know who you are in the room so that, and we'll introduce each other and we'll set up a date and time so we can help you to be profitable. Because if you're not profitable, you're not going to like it here. Okay, you're not going to like this room. All right, but if you are profitable, you're going to find trading to be fun. Look at Tex. Tex enjoys trading. You can just tell by the way he's got all of his gizmos and gadgets and apps and everything going on. He loves it, okay? I love it, okay? You can love it too, but it helps when you're winning, okay? If you're losing, you're not going to like it very long, okay? You may like it, but you're just tired of losing and you're going to give up, all right? So let's change that so that you're not ready to give up, all right? This is not something that you learn. Let me just say, this is the most difficult thing to learn is day trading. There is a lot of, how do I say it, influencing factors every single day that change, all right? And knowing them all is almost impossible. And being a part of a team can help you see that, all right? So there's one great thing about being in a trading room. And it's not going to take, in a week, you're not going to catch on to trading in a week, all right? Not without having some experience in the arena, all right? If you expect to walk into the MMA arena and defeat somebody that's rated, all right, you got another thing coming, all right? All right, it's the same thing in this arena, all right? You want to succeed, you're going to need to put some time in. You're going to need to train. You're going to need to do that. But the good thing is you'll learn and develop great fundamentals that will help you to succeed in the future, okay? So once you learn I'm going to tell you, you don't ever lose it. Nobody can take it away. Once you learn this, as long as you don't get Alzheimer's or dementia, you're going to have this for the rest of your life. And it's a well-desired skill that everybody wants to have, but very few have the, I'm just going to say the discipline to stay with it, all right? The willingness and the drive to stay with it. And you can do it, and I'm here to help. And I just want to put that out there, okay? So that I do free coaching in case you need it. I'm here to take care of you and hook you up, all right? I want you to stay in my room. I want you to like being in my room. I want you to make money in my room, all right? And that's what I'm here for. All right, traders, that's it for me for today. Everybody, have a beautiful evening. I'll see you all tomorrow. Tomorrow's Wednesday. All right. I'll see you at 8 o'clock, and we'll do it again. All right. Thank you.